And we are live. Welcome to When To.
Or
That was good.
More.
With the McCaws. Bang, bang, bang. And we are here. And it feels good. It feels good to be back doing one together, doesn't it? Oh.
Finally, after 5 minutes.
After what?
Fights.
Yeah, we've had so many fights. No, we've had, I mean...
We're literally training for the UFC.
Yeah, we're literally in the UFC. And it feels good to be there. You know, we're doing well. We have had a few. But with every good thing comes a good argument. Or 6. What do you reckon?
Or 10.
Or 10. Let's take it. Just take it to the next level. Like, that is what it's all about. You know what I mean?
It's fun.
How your last podcast went really well, didn't it? With Tally?
Yes, really good. We were talking about forgiveness.
With
the ¿cómo se llama?
psychologist.
Psychologist. Really good. She is really clever.
Yeah, really good, really good. And I was talking about Christian men with Jorge. That was really good as well. Really valuable to talk about, some good content. So if you haven't seen that already, you can go back and watch that. What do you reckon? Would you advise that?
Yes.
Good.
Watch it. It's really good.
How have you been for the last couple of weeks?
I've been ill.
Ooh.
No, to be
You have been
honest,
ill,
I've been
haven't you?
ill.
Yeah,
Yes.
but we got some new cream.
Oh, yes, I have some new cream.
Some new face
Have a
cream
look.
that we've been experimenting
It's
with.
a lifting.
Is it?
It is, well, it says.
It lifts your spirits, not your face.
Yeah.
It's
So
not
we're going to
like-
put the before and after of my cream.
Yeah. So this is what we look like now. And in 10 days,
This is real
we're
life.
going to look fantastic.
Ah, yes, this is like the before, and 10 days we're going to show.
Yeah. We're going to look delicious.
That's the store's new word.
It's my new word. Like,
We went to Northern Ireland and suddenly he was like, everything, Thea. Oh, you're my delicious Thea.
Thea is my little delicious. And I don't mind that. I'm here
That
for
was
it.
really
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
Right. Well, today we're here, and I'm glad we're here. We've had some exciting weeks, some exciting progression for the podcast. We've been talking to some guys that we want to bring on in the future, so that's quite exciting. I'm excited for what the future holds for this podcast. Today, we decided that we're going to talk about money and managing money, because actually managing money, or the lack of management, or not enough money, is money in itself is one of the biggest reasons that marriages fall apart.
Ah, yes.
Did you know that?
And I can tell why.
Why? What do you mean?
No, it's just because everyone has a different point of view. So that's what we're going to talk about.
That's what we're going to talk
about our marriage,
Yeah.
about finances, about what we've been through with finances, and
So much.
fights with finance.
We've been through the valleys, we've been through the rivers, we've been through the marshmallow. Like, there's been so much that we've been through with this
marriage.
With this marriage. But we're not talking about marriage today, we're talking about money.
The money,
right?
yeah.
So, but money is a big thing, and I thought the best way to start would be to talk about how we came into viewing money for ourselves as individuals.
When?
Right? So
I think should I?
yeah, you start.
Fine.
So you're going to tell me, right? And let's go start, when you're old enough to manage money, and then finish just before you got married, and what, where you saw money and maybe how that changed over time. Hit us with what you thought about money and how money's worked for you.
So I started working when I was 18, but before that we used to have like small businesses.
Who did?
Well, my sister and I. No, is it?
Selling squirrels.
Honestly, yes, we were selling Barbie's clothes.
Really?
Yes,
really?
at school. If Titi
wow.
is listening to this podcast, Titi was my first client. She's my best friend.
You were selling.
I was
Barbie's
10 years
clothes.
old, and we were making Barbie clothes, and we were selling.
You were
them.
17 years old.
I was 10 years
Oh,
old.
okay. All right, thank you. But even at 10, nobody had Barbies at 10.
Well, yes, I did.
Wow.
We live in a different society nowadays.
You did.
Kids with 10 years old, they think that they're teenagers when they're not.
Yeah.
You need to live every
You need to live with
season of
Barbie,
your
don't you?
life. Yeah, so
Barbie's important.
what about for
That
Ken?
is such a good question. That is such a good question. Thank you so much. I was so focused on Barbie.
We
But
didn't
Ken,
have much
come on.
creativity for Ken.
Pedro's just said, what about for Ken?
Oh,
Ken just
hola,
walks. Ken just apparently is just meant to go around naked, I reckon. Did you make clothes for Ken?
No.
Pedro would be really angry with you.
I don't know why. This is a really silly story, but my mom never bought Ken for us. Because she said that she didn't want us to play with Barbies and Kens. Like to be boyfriend and girlfriend. Just Barbies.
Wow.
That's
that is a deprived upbringing. Anyway,
but
about money.
that was my first thing.
Yeah.
And then with my cousins, we were to my auntie's house and we took all the apples and mangoes and mandarins from the trees, and then we put them in a basket and we went to the street and sell outside the house.
Solid.
And without her permission.
Okay.
Yes.
So you stole from her and made money out of what you stole. Great.
And then we felt bad and we give them money to the church.
Wow.
Just to don't feel too bad.
Wow.
Gracias, Pedro Palo. Thank you.
Pedro said, I love you guys. Keep up the good work. Keep reaching out for people. It is much needed during this time. That's appreciated. Thank you so much.
We love you guys.
And Juliana said, Acosta said,
Llega mi nani.
Llega mi nani.
Yes.
Sorry, carry on.
Yeah. And then I started working when I was 18. No, 19. That was my first job. And it was actually in English. I was working in a call center.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think at the beginning with money, I was just thinking, yes, I finally have a job. Let's spend it all.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you had it, you spent it all because it was there to be had.
Yeah.
Okay.
At the beginning.
Yeah. And then what happened?
And then I had to pay for my uni. So I was paying like almost most of my money went to uni.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you changed jobs. So as you progressed
and then I start growing up. I keep growing up.
But what does that mean in regards to your finances? You were growing up, but what did that mean? What changed for your money?
Well, then I started thinking about priorities in life when I finished uni. So I started like putting money for something. I always like to put money for the church, just to make it's something that is my priority in life, to build like God's kingdom on earth. So I always want to keep putting into that. And then we got married, so we started saving to get married.
Great.
And then
you can stop there, I guess, because that takes us up to a nice point. And so what I'll do then is I'll talk about where my kind of money has led me up to when I got married. Right. When I was younger, I was useless with money. Right. End of conversation. Absolutely useless with money. When I had it, I would spend it. I always wanted things that were not even expensive. I just found a way to spend money. I was always quite privileged in the way I've been brought up. So I worked from young though. I got a job. I got a first paper round delivering newspapers to people's houses. I had 14 papers to deliver every day. I was meant to be in at 6 o'clock to pick up the papers, to go and get them delivered, right?
How old were you?
6 o'clock. 16.
And then you went to school?
Like 15 or 16 probably. Yeah, but my friends lived on the road that I used to deliver the papers at. So it was really amazing. Right, perfect job. And they used to pay me £18 a week for basically walking to school.
Yeah.
I know.
Because you have to walk there anyway.
That's what I mean. I would have to walk there anyway. But I just had to say, oh, guys, just wait for me a second. I'll just go and do this paper. So I had money when I was younger. I remember using my first load of Christmas money. So I had all this money saved up from when I was Christmas to go to, where did I go? Austria was my first skiing. We went skiing and I basically used all my money to go skiing, which is a bit ridiculous really looking back at it. But that was what I used my money for. So yeah, and then as I got older, I started to appreciate money a little bit more. Although I went through a time, the biggest thing that stands out to me, I guess, was when I was living with Nathan. I was sharing with Nathan, and I had a time in my life. I can't remember the situation at the time, but money was tight. I was working, but money was tight. And I remember 3 days where I literally had like £1.50.
And then what happened is when you came back from Guatemala, so you didn't have any money and you were waiting for your first check.
Yeah, that was right. That was right. Okay, so I've skipped a bit really. I went and did a DTS with W2OM. That cost me probably £4,000 or £5,000 that I'd had saved up. And then I came back and was like travel. I didn't really care about saving money for the long run. And then I came back, and then I went to Guatemala a few times. I went and lived out in Guatemala, and that was just using money again. There was no real idea of saving for the future. I was probably 24. Is that right?
No, you got married when you were 24.
Yeah, okay. I was probably 21 when we first moved out to Guatemala. But I was back.
You were really young.
Yeah, I was really young. Or 22, something like that. And I would keep going back and forth to Guatemala, which of course is expensive. You're talking £500, £600 a ticket every single time. And then of course you're planning for a wedding and everything like that. So we didn't. And then the visa. Oh,
the visa was so expensive. Expensive.
Yeah, in total, shall I mention our cost? Yeah. We've probably spent £10,000 on the 2 visas we've done. We've still got another one left. But yeah, you see, so money just goes out the pan.
We could have put that into the deposit of a house.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But again, that's a life decision, and I think we'll come back to those. We'll come back to important life decisions that we've made that have an effect on our today.
Yeah.
And so we saved and we got married and we did amazing things, and that was it really. So that's a good place to come to. But I would say and would you agree with me here when you say when you've got money, you kind of tend to be on the spend it side rather than the save it side?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm more on the spend.
Yeah. But now, because I spent all my money before, I'm much more on the save it side, more than the spend it side, which is really interesting. And that was a discipline I learned while I was going through those Guatemala times, traveling back and forth. I knew there was no way I could get out to Guatemala unless I saved money. And so I got into a really good habit. I was probably saving something like £800 a month. Was just going, probably half of my salary was just going into savings.
Yeah.
And I learned that actually if I want something, I've got to put aside for it. But also on my DTS, going to the other side of the world and seeing how a little amount of money in our eyes can change people's lives also made me realize the value of money. So for 2 reasons, I drastically changed the way I looked at money, and I saved a lot, and I looked at saving a lot because I realized about the future and what we can go forward and do. And I never wanted to be in that position where that £1.50 would have to get me through 3 days.
Yeah.
So I said to myself, I would never be in that situation again.
I always compare everything with a trick to it of how you can manage money. For example, you can buy something like, we can buy nice things, but you also, what Stuart was saying, like how far your money can go. And I always think if I buy this meal for £30, £30 is the same price of a ticket to Italy.
Yeah.
So I prefer to save this £30 to go to Italy.
Yeah.
Instead of buying a meal that is £25 or something.
Yeah. And we've done it. We go out. We like it occasionally.
I love eating out because I don't like cooking.
Yeah, that's true. We do that.
But we don't do it very often, I think.
No, not really.
No.
But we do it occasionally. But I guess that's the thing is what the point we're trying to make here is that we both came into our marriage at completely different ends of the spectrum. And I would say would you agree in saying quite extreme ends? I was really save. You were kind of spend because there's no point in saving.
Yeah, but let me tell you why.
Yeah.
Well, but I feel like my brother, Ramiro, he's really good with money. He really, really good. I remember we were very young and our parents used to give us money. I was 6 years old, but even when I was 6, my dad used to put, even before that, like 5 years old, 4 years old, my mom and dad used to give us some money for the week. So every week they give, okay, this is the money for the week or for the month. And then so that we start managing money from a very young age. And Ramiro was very good,
Mhm.
very, very good. He used to buy some things and then sell it more expensive at school and then save all the money, save all the money, save all the money. But, and then when I was there, when I was just giving my mom the money because I wanted us to buy a house, a really nice house. And so I was telling my mom, this is the money for that. But then my dad died when I was 6 years old. And then I thought, life is too short, and I wish my dad, he was working all the time. And yes, we enjoy the money and we travel a lot, and there wasn't a thing that my dad wouldn't give me. I don't know how, but he always gave us everything that we wanted. But I wish he could work less and
have
spend
more time with you guys.
Yes, more time traveling and all of this. So I think that's why I'm on the yes, let's save, but also let's enjoy. Because, for example, I said this is tour now.
Yeah.
If we don't travel now, then with the years we're gonna have kids. Then we're gonna be very busy. Then we're gonna do a lot of things, and we're never gonna have this time, just you and me, to enjoy traveling.
Yeah.
Do you know?
But you were very, and you're right. I wasn't going to say to you, talk about this when you're talking about how you got to this place financially. And I wasn't going to say you talk about the death of your dad. But that is a key thing. Like, you've got to remember in these situations that you're like that very much so because of what happened. Yeah, like something that happened has meant to you. Okay, life's too short to save money because, like, you know, you saw somebody's life be taken. And so, yeah, like, that's totally understandable. But like, where I was coming at it from was like, I know that life doesn't happen unless we can save. So we came at it from two different extremes. Nanny on the let's spend most of it, save a little bit. I was on to let's save everything, spend a little bit. And so we've very much had to come into this with, you know, finding balance. And that has taken time, hasn't it?
Yes.
A lot of time. But I think it's actually amazing. What Nanny does is encourages me to spend more for today. But what I hope that
and you encourage me to save.
This is good.
For the
yeah. Carry on. Tell them.
We practiced this before.
Tell them.
No, but really,
that would have been a good team.
I think that's something very good, because I feel like when you're looking to marry someone, or when you're looking for someone, you think, I want the person to be exactly the same. And then you get married and you come to these arguments and you think, maybe I made the wrong decision because this person is not the same. And it's absolutely normal. In fact, it's a lot better if you marry someone that is different than you, because then where you balance each other.
We haven't all got it all together as individuals, but actually some people can come in and make us better. We just need to be prepared for that. So let's talk about the first thing before we talk about methods in which we used and are using
the way we've been managing.
Before we talk about that, let's talk about debt. DEBT. I don't know why it's got a B in it, but it's got a B. Debt. All right. Debt. Let's talk about the word debt. What do you think I think about debt? Go.
That never get into that.
Why?
Because never do it.
But are you on board with that, or what do you think about that?
No, I also don't like it.
Okay.
My mom always teach me to don't. Even the Bible says don't get into debt.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So I absolutely hate debt. And this is something that has been brought, like, from when I was very young. My parents have always been like, if you can't afford it, don't buy it. As in, if you haven't got the money to buy it, because that's what afford it means. It means I've got the money to be able to buy something, then don't buy it at all. So basically what I'm against is financing cars. I'm against
financing everything.
Phone contracts, really, like where you're paying something like £50 for an iPhone that's worth, you know, £500. You know, it's pointless, because all you're doing is putting you're setting yourself up for a future of just paying someone else back. And you talked about the Bible. The Bible says you're a slave to the debtor. A slave to the debtor. Yeah, you're a slave. So you basically are a slave to the person you owe the money to at the end. So afterwards, if you get yourself into a car finance for 3 years, that car is not yours until at the end of the 3 years. So ultimately, if something happens to you in those 3 years, that person gets that car back, or whatever the setup would be. But effectively, it's not yours until you've finished paying it off. Whereas if you save up for the car that you want, it's yours straight away. You've been disciplined enough, and there's a lesson we all learn in discipline from paying off, saving up for something and saying, I've worked hard for this, I've saved hard for this, and now I'm going to buy it.
Yes, and it's always not the easiest thing, because of course you want the things now, or the society pressure.
That's
I've never felt that, like, no, that's not true. Maybe sometimes I feel like that society pressure, but not as much as, like, you tell me some experience in here, like people judge for the car you will use, or the car, that person have money because they're driving this car, and it's not like, but I feel also like,
yeah, that's a good.
It's like, I'm sorry, I forgot what I was gonna say, but I remember.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so I feel like it is also saving for something. It might not be the best because you want, I want it now,
Yeah.
but it will also, like, make your character stronger, and it will teach you about patience and about all of these things. It will put character on you. There are some things when I said to Stuart, like, for example, a house. You're not gonna wait until you save for all the things.
That's a good point. So I think Pedro says, I agree with not having debt, but there is good debt, like buying a house. What do you think about that? That is a very good point. So, and I'm glad you've raised this. So, first of all, I don't. Good debt is a bit, for me, it's like no debt. Hang on. No debt is a good debt, is my line. Although there are debts in which we have to take on, but I would still try and get out of that debt as fast as possible. So, for example, someone might be saving up for a car, and they might be saving up for it, and they want a certain car, right? I'm not against anybody that wants a certain car. That, let's say they want 5,000, like 500. Is that like? I was going to go into like 50,000 quetzales. Yeah.
50
mil quetzales.
Sí.
Yeah. So you're saving up for this car, and you get to 20, and your current car goes completely bust, right? And actually, you've not got enough for the cheapest car. Does this matter what I'm saying? So, for example, if you've got 5,000 pounds would be 50,000 quetzales, right? And you're saving up for this car, but actually you can't get a car, let's say, for less than 25,000, but you want the 50,000 one, and you've only got 20,000, so you've still got to wait 5,000. I agree in that situation with taking on that small amount of debt to pay for the first car that you can get, for the cheapest car that you can get. Although what I would say to people is, you want to get out of that debt as fast as possible, because you are a slave to the debtor for longer. Does that make sense?
Yes, I agree.
So you're in that situation, but we will eventually go into a situation where,
like buying a house,
we have to buy a house.
You cannot wait.
Yeah.
Well, let's save, because we're not gonna get into debt, and let's save until we have the money to buy a house.
Yeah.
Then when you're 70, you never had a house.
Yeah. But debt house is a good one, because I think it's something we're all going to have to get into, or if you can do that.
What do you think about debt, but something that this is how I think of it. I think like if you're gonna get into debt, but something that you know that you can pay. So, for example, you know that you have the money, and that will not keep your monthly thing too tight. Why are you laughing?
Because we've talked about this recently. So carry on.
Stupid from you. So you're not gonna get, like, you know that you have the money to pay it back.
Yeah. So I would just say,
so for example,
it depends
like
the
a
need, doesn't it?
A fund plan.
Yeah.
I I agree in getting a fund plan.
Yeah.
Because it's something that you will need, and if it's something that you can pay monthly, it's okay.
So I think the biggest thing with money as well, I'm just going to take the time to talk about this, is making sure you know the difference between a need and a want. What is a need and what is a want, right? And so you need to make sure that you know, okay, this is a need, like Maslow's hierarchy of needs. You're talking about shelter, you're talking about water, you're talking about food. They are needs. A phone contract,
it's a need.
It is a need if you're talking about the rolling services of the phone contract. It's not a need when you're talking about, I want the iPhone 11. That's not the need. And so you need to distinguish, okay, right,
for example,
the need is having a phone, but the need isn't having the best phone.
Yes,
that's a want.
I need a good phone. No. Listen, no, because I don't have a professional camera to take the photos and the videos for my small business.
Okay.
So it's something like an investment because I will need it, It's not like I can get any phone because I need a phone with a good camera to take good photos because that is my way of selling.
But I think it's a want, but it's a want for a good reason. Like you've got your business, and it's a good cause to say what you say. To say, okay, I want to use it for my business. I think that's absolutely a great thing to do. But it's still a want. I think need, when you think about, do I need this? Probably not. But I can do the business without it, but it does better my business.
But so not really, because if I have really bad photos, no one will buy.
Yeah, but that's why it's a want, because you think it's going to get better. Anyway, I mean you need to figure out.
This is how you disagree.
No, it's good though. It's good. It is good, and you raise a good point, because the next point I would say is that actually, what's a need and a want for each and every one of us can be different. So you can say, okay, I want to do this, and I want to raise a successful, really from the bottom, start a successful business and move up and grow that. And actually, the need is high. So let's look into this one. Right, that is called building your credit, at least here in the US. That's
another thing.
Yeah,
Ramiro told me that also in Korea, because my brother was living in South Korea, but he's living in England now. He told me that they have credit cards also to build their credit. So if they want to buy a house, they need to have a history of a good credit.
Yes.
Is it the same here in England?
It is, but you can get in a way, Pedro, I would advise that you read or listen
Join us
to listen to Dave Ramsey. Dave Ramsey is an American. He would be able to tell you that actually in the States you can get, and in the UK as well, you can get what's called a manual underwriting. And what it is there is this kind of false kind of belief that the only way that we can afford a house is via credit as such. And so credit is built by going into debt and paying off the debt. That's how credit is built. You first take on a debt. If you're always in positive, you don't build good credit. You build good credit by going into debt and paying off the debt. That's how a credit card works. So it starts on 0, you then spend, you go into debt, you then pay the debt back, and you go into credit cards. The problem with the credit card is that it encourages people to spend more money. And studies would show, especially in America, that someone with a credit card over having cash would spend more money. So when it comes to buying a house, we're told that actually you need credit in order to buy a house. And that might be the way you do things. You might have a good credit score, you might buy a house. But it isn't the only way that someone can buy a house, and it's called manual underwriting. So I would maybe search it, but also I would advise that you listen to someone like Dave Ramsey, who writes a book. He's written a book on it where he talks about getting out of debt. This is for anybody, actually. Dave Ramsey is fantastic because he sets up steps. I think there's 6 steps he's got where he talks people through getting out of the situation they're in order to win with money. So anyway, manual underwriting is something where you go to somebody else to prove that you would be able to move forward. So it's not dependent so much on your past. It's more dependent on the contract that you've got. So very similar, like when you go and rent a property, you go to them and you show them, I can pay this because I'm in a job. Here's proof that I will be able to pay it in the future. And that's it. And that's what you need for manual underwriting. And somebody.
And what if they said to you, well, yes, you have a proof that you have this, but you don't. How do we know that you pay things back if you don't have a record of paying things back?
Well, you're not paying from a place of debt. You're paying from going forward.
But for example, I can say this is my job, but there isn't any job that is eternal. You know, if you don't have a contract for 10 years, how can they prove that you are gonna pay them if you don't have like a history of paying?
Yeah, it's because I guess the thought process is this. Unfortunately, that they are making money out of your debt. So the amount of people, the credit card system works effectively to make money. They make money off you being bad with money, right? So what they tell you is you have to get into debt to pay it back, right? So when you pay it and then you struggle, they know that you spend more money with a credit card. They know that actually it's working for something you've already done, that it's easier to spend money with a credit card. They know that studies show that we spend more money with a credit card. They also know that you're more likely when you get to payday to have to work paycheck to paycheck. They know this. They're more clever than this. They want to basically keep people in a cycle, right? And the problem with this is, yes, you are right. They're looking at, okay, have you paid a debt before? But manual underwriting, and the encouraging thing about it is that it's not looking at people for the past. It's looking about what they can afford to go forward with, not as we do. They check
savings accounts also.
Yeah. They'll be able to check your finances. You might have something like somebody else would sign on your behalf, so it would come to somebody else.
Which is a Jesus building.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the. And if we look into it biblically,
Jesus paid it all.
So there's no reason anyone should be getting into debt, you know. But yeah, I hope that's helped. But Dave Ramsey would be able to help you more, especially.
We read that book and it really helped us.
Yeah,
because at the beginning of the marriage, we were like, I was on the side of no, Stuart, let's spend money because we can't be in the house all the time because we're never gonna get this time back. And then Stuart was, let's save. And then this book is really good because it says I even think that it says something about a new couple or not, a new marriage.
Yeah.
And it says like this is a way you can separate your finances. Yeah. So with Stuart we have like different accounts. Yeah. So even Thea has an account. Yeah. So anytime that we have a problem with Thea, we're not worried about what we're gonna do or where we're gonna get this money, because every month, even if you put just a little bit into some different things, Thea has her own money and is covered for anything that she might need.
So I guess what we had to do, and that's a really good segue into where we're going, is that what we had to do is decide what was important for us. So what we're saying is it was great to go, right, okay, there's more travel in our lives.
And one of our priorities.
And it's one of our priorities. So and traveling is expensive, you know. If we have to go off to Guatemala, mainly Nanny, if Nanny needs to go off to Guatemala, there needs to be £600 that we've got from somewhere that goes into this. Now, yes, you can go off and put it on a credit card and sort it later, but I don't want to put it on a credit card. I'd rather sort it there and then, right? So every month, we have a pot for travel, right? And so what we would advise, after seeing it work so well with us, is creating a pot for whatever you value. So I was talking to somebody last Sunday, and he was talking about the fact he loves cars. And I'm saying, absolutely, like if you love cars, no one can judge you for what you love. It could even be a negative thing. It could be, I want for like takeaways. But as long as you are saying, I am telling this money where to go, then that's the main thing.
Instead of the
Rather
money
telling
you.
you exactly. If you don't control money, money will control you. And I think we should engage with that idea on a monthly basis, like at least, because what you need to do is tell every pound where it's going. And if it is going to, if you're going out clubbing, if you're going and doing that, decide, like we're just talking about money here, but decide how much you're going with, and don't take your card with you, and just bring cash and spend. If it is on takeaways and you go, okay, I want to spend £30, spend £30, but don't go, oh, I'll just have a bit of this and a bit of that, because you'll spend more money. And if you want to win with money, tell the money where it's going and don't let the money tell you. So what we've done effectively, that you've really good to raise, was created a pot for everything that we wanted to save for. So one is travel, another one is Thea. Thea has her own bank account with us. It sounds silly, but it means
our dog, Thea, if you don't know.
Yes. But it means that actually we
don't have to worry if something happened.
Don't need to worry.
We just went to buy things for her.
Yeah. We just went to Northern Ireland like 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago.
A month ago.
It goes so fast. We just went to Northern Ireland, and we had to get a travel certificate, and it was £170. And the great thing, especially as a guy, because money worries me, as in, like, I know some people don't worry about, I think men are probably more inclined to worry about money than women. Maybe you're different, but it's certainly the case in our situation. I manage the money in our house. You manage other things, like my behavior.
Well, we both have access to all the accounts.
Yeah. Oh, that's but basically, like, I'll set it up and make sure that we're going. Yeah.
Stuart loves to do a bank accounts. I said to Stuart, just why don't we just save in one account? But now I understand, and it's good.
It is really.
I didn't understand at the beginning, because it was like, let's say for this, and this, and this. So at the end, it was all the money everywhere.
Yeah, we've probably got about 10 bank accounts.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it's good because.
And it's named. So if I know, okay, I get paid, and as soon as I get paid, I know how much is going into each account. And so I'm telling money where to go on a month-to-month basis.
And it's good because it's so easy to want to eat like takeaways all the time. But then if you put the money in different pots, then you say, okay, this is what I have for takeaways, and that's it.
Yes. Yeah. And a future version of yourself will thank you for those disciplines that you're creating. Now, we are talking a lot about savings and having money left over. I think it's also important to acknowledge that not everybody will feel like that. Not everybody will get to the end of the month and feel like they've got money left over. What would you say to somebody in that situation?
Yeah, I remember I was in that situation for a lot of years when I was at uni.
Okay.
I literally have to pay, because my uni was so expensive, and I have to pay almost like more than half of my salary to pay the uni, and the rest was just to pay for the gas and just to pay for other things. But even like 10 quetzales is literally £1.
Yeah.
I was saving like just £1, just put it aside. Even if it's just £1, even if it's just €1, $1, just to put that one aside.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. And that that attitude of saving increases. So I set up a bank account a long time ago, and I put £5 a week in that account. It was not until I realized that I didn't miss that £5 every week that I upped it to £6, £7, £8, and it got bigger. And as I saw it get bigger, I wanted to put more into it. So that attitude of being able to save was enhanced, while I watched and while I realized that it didn't affect my life. Although it may affect some people. So maybe just stick at that £2 a week, whatever it is. Judging someone, I'm going to use a running analogy because I know some people love running analogies, but here you go. Judging people for what they do on the outside is a bit like watching a runner in the street and saying, I could beat him, I could beat her, I could beat him. not knowing where that person is at with their run. Person could have just walked outside their door, could be running at a really slow pace just to get warmed up. You don't know how fast they are. But I do it all the time because it makes Nelly laugh. Because we're in the car and I'm like, oh, I beat him, I beat her. And it makes Nelly laugh. I do it all the time. But I thought about it and I thought, actually, judging people from the outside like that is
bad.
Is bad, and it's so wrong. I only do it for a bit of a laugh, but we should never do it because we don't know. But we kind of naturally do. We judge people from what car they drive, what clothes they wear, all of these things. But it's exactly the same. It's exactly the same as looking at someone that's running in the street and judging them based on the speed they're going at.
And also, people use money in different ways.
Exactly.
Like some people prefer to use their money. Their priority might be like eating out, having nice meals, and that's their priority. And then someone else might say, well, my priority is just travel, and they never go out and eat with their friends. Or maybe they go out, but they don't buy like a full meal. They just buy like something smaller because they're saving for traveling. Every person is different.
And also, things take time, don't they?
Yeah.
Like we expect everything now, and this young. And the Bible talks a lot about the longevity of things, like really going into like the long. It's a long run. Like it talks about the marathon and the long run, and it's not just a sprint. But as young people, we do think that we need the best things now, and we fight for the best things now. And actually, if you've got the longevity, the long-term race on your mind, actually, it doesn't matter what it all looks like now. It just matters how does it fit into your plan. Like, no, it's not really worth telling people that we spent money on visas or we spend money on this. We know that we've got to save for visa. We know that we've got to send money for travel. And this is expensive stuff, as you know. So it means that every month we put money aside in order that when it comes round, especially the visa, it comes round every 2.5 years and it's like £3,000, like 30 mil catales. It's like we've got to have that money, it's got to be sat there waiting to go. And I'd rather put aside, I don't know, £100 or just over £100 every month than worry about that in 2.5 years. Be faithful with the small in order to be fruitful with the large. So that's
even the Bible says. I feel like I love the Bible because it gives us a lot of
really.
It gives us a lot of like that verse that says like he gave one thing and the person multiplied it more. So if you're faithful with the small, God will reward you with more.
Yeah, it's a good biblical principle to look after the one thing that we have in order that God would trust us with more if we're faithful. And so in the same way, it's looking after what we've got in our house first, sorting our own priorities first in order to then go and help out other people. So, and with that, is there anything else you want to kind of? I think we've done quite well to cover what we've covered. But I think it's just important. Like, we're not experts at this. Don't get me wrong. We're not experts.
We're still learning
all the time. The whole idea of the podcast is just to talk about it whilst we're going about it,
and also just to feel identified in some things. Because I have like some friends that get married, and then suddenly it's like, I feel like for everyone, you get married and then you're like, wow, there's just a whole new world of new things and new things that you need to learn. And it's important to know that we're all learning together in this.
Definitely. And it's a big thing that once you make those small changes, like I say, that £5 in that bank account, it grew and it grew and it grew, and it encouraged us so much where it was like, oh, okay, great. We can add more to it and add more to it. And it's one of those things where it's just something that we saw, don't underestimate that kind of week, putting something aside for a week, because if you're doing that again and again and again, it builds up, builds up, and it works. And actually, I don't think from a biblical standpoint, we're called to be poor. We're called to be good stewards of the things that we've got, and some people would give more and some people would be in situations. I don't think it's good to be flashy and rich and flashy in with money, and I need to show people that I've got this, and this. There's a balance, isn't there? Like, not leaving yourself and your family without, and being too showy and, I've got to show people I've got this, and this. There's a balance in between. But I think ultimately we're called to be good stewards of what we've got and look after our families and look after the wider church and the communities we live in. And we can't do that if we can't help anybody else unless we can help ourselves first, I guess. So I think it's a really interesting one, and it's one that's massively changed for us as a couple. We've worked hard, and it might mean that you don't get things as fast as you want to get. That might be something, but what we do is we give up on behalf of the things you want to get in the future.
Yes.
I've had a bit of a reputation before for being tight with money, especially when I came back from America and Brazil, Bolivia. I didn't want to spend money the same way again, because I saw in these countries what money can get you, what you can do with money. That from then on, I was like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to spend money. And so people would call me tight, but it wasn't tight. It was that I knew what I wanted to do with that money. I knew what I can do with money. And I know that I've got other things to do, but I think that should be your focus, is not getting caught up on the ways of the world, but remaining a good steward of your funds and being focused on the task at hand for you as an individual or a couple.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think? What do you think?
Yes, and I love this verse in the Bible that says that mejor lo voy a leer. I don't know what my phone is.
Really?
But it says, like, let me see if I can find it. La palabra de los sembrados. Like, it says, like, someone put a seed, and then the seed, like, multiply, and it talks about, like, the different type of people, and it says, like, some people receive the message of God and they give a lot of fruit and they stay with God, but some others receive the fruit of, like, the word of God, receive what God was telling them, but then the worried, like the worried of the world, like worrying about money or worrying about all this lifestyle that the world tells us that we need to have in order to be cool or in order to be successful. Like, if you don't have this and this by this time in your life, you're not successful. All of that it just, like, destroy all the seeds and the words that God has put in our heart.
The book from Dave Ramsey talks about the fact that he would have, like, CEOs of businesses come to him and say, I get paid $100,000, every year, and at the end of the year I don't know where it goes. If people are bad with money, it doesn't matter how much money we give them, they're still bad with money. But if people are good with money, they can take a salary that's a lot less and end up with a lot more of their salary still intact than people. So I don't think we should get caught up on how much people get paid either. We're not trying to, we get paid this and we get paid that. That's not what this is about. It's about dealing with whatever we've got, whatever that may be. And that might be the lowest of low salaries, might be a really high salary. And actually, God's given you a lot. Go and use that fruitfully. But I just think that whatever we can do, if you can be good with money and you're on a low salary, you literally give yourself a pay rise because you're better with it and you've got money left over at the end of the month. Yes. And I think that's such an important and valuable discipline to have in our lives today.
And something that we've learned, just to be finishing, we're finishing now, is that money is not the answer.
No.
Money is not the answer. And maybe you can tell the story that you were listening about. These guys that they had a lot of money. Remember, they had a lot of money, and then when they got everything, they find out that wasn't the answer.
So I listen to a lot of podcasts, and I love listening to podcasts with really successful people, CEOs, celebrities, well-known people. And especially in the UK, we have someone called James English who does the podcast. I suggest listening to his podcast. But what he talks about is he runs them through this story. So he starts off and say, we always go back to the start with our guests, and he runs them through from the very start. And so it's that journey, it's the come up process that they all go on, and they come up to the top. And what they all share, not all of them, but like a good kind of 80-90% of them, you'll hear, if you're looking for recurring themes, is that theme of thinking that the top was this, and then actually getting there and realizing that it wasn't all that. That actually it's the process that we're on that is the enjoyable part, is the bit that got them. They were so focused on the top, but actually, it's like Tyson Fury, the boxer who won, who like trained to overcome and overcame mental health to become the heavyweight boxing champion of the world. And when he got there, he's got this anticlimax feeling, like he's there. What now? He thought that this would give him that supreme happiness, and it doesn't, and it didn't. And the Bible says that a wise man learns from the mistake of others, and a foolish man makes the mistakes himself. And I think when I listen to podcasts like that, I don't need to be in their shoes or get to their place to realize exactly the same. I can listen to other things, podcasts, and listen to people's advice. They don't need to be Christian to give me that type of advice whatsoever. But that was really an interesting point. Like, people are on the come up, they're on the way up, and they realize that actually they might have got the best cars, realized it didn't make them happy, went back to just getting a nice second-hand car that they could pay off directly. But we get caught in, don't learn yourself, learn from the mistakes of others that have been there, that have done it, that have tried it before.
Yes, and don't let money control us. I feel like when we feel that we're getting a bit stressed with something, with money or something, we're like, no, we're just gonna enjoy this time because this is the journey what counts, not like the time.
Yeah, absolutely. Like we're looking at, we look around in our house that we're living in now. We're not always going to live here, but we're enjoying this process. And that's what Nanny brings for me, is like that process of I can get so caught up on it. And the reason that I'm quite passionate about the money side now is because I care a lot about it. Like I care a lot about doing right with it. I used to think, I've got to be so worried about it, get it all and hold on to it and do what I can. But Nanny makes me realise that there's also today to enjoy as well. So I think it's a good balance and it works. And we still go through, especially towards the end of the month, I can be like, but we don't have money for doing this. I'm so tight on the timings, on making sure that money goes into certain places. I have to, slap myself sometimes and be like, no, this is enjoyable. We love it. And it's a great process to be on. I'd much rather be on the process than really, really, really rich and not have the process to go on because it had been done for you. What do you think?
I would like both.
You like both?
Yeah, me too. I enjoy it.
No, it's a good process. Good process. Well, should we leave it there?
Yes.
It's been so nice to be able to gather. I've really enjoyed this podcast. It's been great. If you're watching live, if you could hit the thumbs up now, just to kind of let people know, let it get out there, that would be absolutely fantastic. We've had a really great time being able to talk about money and managing money. And if this has helped you, let us know. Like, we're really encouraged to get messages from people occasionally that have been encouraged by something or taken something away. I'm going to put the name of Dave Ramsey in here so you can see that. There that is. And he basically is a Christian, and he's a big into financial advice. He has a podcast and books, so you can listen to podcasts. He's very straight to the point, he'll put it as it is. And I think for some of us, especially me, I needed that, and that really helped me. So I hope that those that are listening get help out of that as well. And that's it really.
That's it. If you want to join us in the podcast, you can send us a message and see.
Absolutely. Well, guys, it's been lovely. Thank you so much for joining us today. And if you are listening on YouTube, subscribe as well. That would be great. Bless you guys. Take care. Bye-bye.